Hello, everybody. I am back talking about some things that's a little bit weird. Now, I have talked about a lot of supernatural things, but this is not, I wouldn't necessarily say this is 100% supernatural or science fiction because allegedly, I still have to say alleged, this is pretty much kind of real. This place does, in fact, exist. Now, you are looking at a creature that allegedly washed ashore not too long ago. And if you look at the creature, the hands of the creature look a little bit human, and they said that this was some sort of hybrid. Today, I'm talking about something called Plum Island. Plum Island. Now, there's a woman who made a video saying that she worked as a scientist or something at Plum Island and her video was taken down. Okay. I don't know if she did it, but I think she might have said someone took it down, but it was floating around on the internet. So I do have the video and a few more videos from her. And I want to show you what she said is going on at Plum Island, some sort of scientific laboratory type of thing where the government is allegedly making hybrids and diseases and all types of stuff and releasing it. I couldn't help but think of that movie Resident Evil. You know, Resident Evil, when the government was experimenting on humans and releasing all these hybrids and all these sicknesses and all this stuff. So this is something that they said was made from Plum Island, some sort of hybrid. Okay, so look, I looked up Plum Island and this is what popped up at first. It's in Massachusetts and an island located off the northeastern coast of Massachusetts. But this is not the Plum Island. No, this is not it. Okay. This is Plum Island right here. Apparently, this is off in Long Island, New York, Plum Island, some sort of research facility type of thing. Now, I heard that they closed down. Allegedly, they closed down in 2020 because of COVID, but people are saying, no, they didn't close down, baby. Area 51 exists, and damn it, Plum Island, these laboratories exist too, where they're doing all types of experiments, okay? So, look. We heard about the centaur. This is Greek mythology. Half human, half horse. People used to say, as the days of Noah, basically that back in the olden times that there was technology, the biblical days before that, that there was technology, there was human cloning, grafting, all this stuff you hear about that you think it's new actually already happened before. I'm not saying it's true, but you have the myths and the mythology of hybrids, okay? Alien hybrids, animal human hybrids. We know about that man who had the heart of a pig because he had some sort of sickness and he passed away. The surgery was not a success for not that long. So you hear these things, okay? You see things in movies like Splice. Splice was about cloning human hybrids, half animal, half human, and there have been legends of these type of things for years, and you see it playing out in movies and everything. So let's look at some of the videos of what this woman said. She was kind of afraid a little bit. She claims that she worked at Plum Island and saw all types of things going down in there.
No one is allowed to visit this island near New York. Plum Island Animal Disease Center was established in 1954 with the primary goal of conducting research on foreign animal diseases that could potentially threaten the U.S. livestock industry. The center has always been surrounded by a high level of security. It was classified as a Level 3 biocontainment facility, meaning it had stringent protocols in place to prevent the accidental release of pathogens. Over the years, there have been concerns and controversies surrounding the research conducted at Plum Island, with some fearing the accidental release of dangerous pathogens into the environment. It officially closed in 2020, marking the end of its operations on Plum Island. The transition to National Bio and Agro Defense Facility, NBAF, in Kansas, signifies a new era in the study of foreign animal diseases.
Should I disappear after posting this? You'll know why. I work on Plum Island. If you don't know, Plum Island is a small, isolated area off the coast of Long Island, New York. I've seen things, heard things that I can't keep quiet about anymore. On the surface, it's just an animal disease facility. They study animal diseases here, mainly ones that could potentially harm humans or livestock. But that's the sanitized version, the watered-down version that they tell the public. Let me tell you, that's not the full story. There are things here that they don't want you to know about. Things that shouldn't be happening in a place like this. A lot of the research here focuses on dangerous viruses. Viruses that could wipe out an entire population. They're trying to figure out ways to control them, study them, but there's always a risk, right? And it's not just the viruses, it's what's been hiding beneath the surface, literally. I've overheard conversations about creatures, things that have been brought here, locked in cages and experimented on. There was even talks of one that escaped. There have been reports of strange sightings on the island. I've heard rumors from the staff about why certain areas are off limits. They'll tell you it's for safety reasons, but there's a look in their eyes when they say that. There are records, documents so deep in the archives that only certain people have access to them. What's in those records? Listen, I've seen enough to know that there is more than animal research going on here. There are theories about biological weapons and people talk about military involvement. And the worst part, if you get too close to finding out the truth, they'll make sure that you don't stick around for much longer. You won't find anyone who's been here for 20 years willing to talk. It's just not worth it. I'm here to tell you that Plum Island isn't some quiet research facility. There are things happening here that you wouldn't believe, things that should never make it to the mainland. I don't know how much longer I can stay here, but if you ever get the chance to come here, just stay away, said an alleged whistleblower of Plum Island. If stories like this interest you, be sure to give me a follow because I enjoy having these type of discussions too. Should I disappear after posting this? You'll know why.
Now, she didn't disappear. Okay, and look, she said it. When you work someplace like this and you come out to the public saying all of this, you have to be prepared for a little bit of backlash from maybe scientists or doctors or whoever. Now, here's the thing. Thank goodness she's okay, but I believe it. Baby, how do you think every single year they come out with all these medicines? You have to test it on people to even know if it works. I don't know if they're locking up prisoners who have done horrible things and testing it out on them. I don't know if they're kidnapping people, testing stuff out on people, underground facilities. Look, I believe in Area 51. Even if it's not called Area 51, I believe that the government is experimenting on people, sometimes to find cures to things. But look, when you look at these movies like Splice, what happens? The experiments go bad. The creature is more powerful. They have powers you didn't suspect. It gets out of control and things get released. In that movie Resident Evil, look at the disaster what happened. So yeah, I believe that there are human animal hybrids that the government has. I believe there are different type of animal on animal hybrids. I believe that they're trying to figure out ways to merge human DNA with animal DNA to maybe cure sicknesses like that guy who had a pig kidney or heart, because people can't always get someone donating their organ. So maybe they want to find ways to merge animal and human DNA or see if they can fix certain stuff. But we always know it doesn't work out well like that, because at the end of the day, we're not, well, some people say, oh, humans are animals. I don't consider humans to be animal type of, you know what I mean. But yeah, I believe that there are experiments going on and things you don't hear about. And it's very dangerous, because if you create something, but you don't know how to create the cure, if let's say you create a new disease, but you didn't figure out how to cure the disease, the next thing you know, it gets released. I always said in my videos, baby, I believe that there are mad scientists working at some of these places. There's always that one or two that want to release something on the earth. Somebody that's pissed off, somebody who's super religious, or just somebody kind of crazy that wants to put it on earth to see what happens to people. I definitely believe you have scientists like that working in these places that's ready to release stuff, and they don't even have the cure if something happens. Remember that movie I Am Legend with Will Smith? They thought they found the cure for cancer, and you might think that, and within a year or two, it changes the human DNA and changes humans for the worse, and unspeakable things you think happening because you think, could happen because you don't have the cure. You didn't really do all your research on it, and you weren't prepared. So yeah, I do believe that the government, people within the government, not everybody, but you have a certain sector that does these human animal DNAs and splicing and all this, coming up with new medicines or coming up with new diseases that get out of control that they have to contain, or they have to put the animal down, or the human animal hybrid. You saw it in that movie Alien with Sigourney Weaver. Was it Alien Resurrection? It was one of those where they were cloning her with the alien DNA, and things just was a mess. So she's alive. She's alive and well. Let's see a few more videos of what she's talking about. And another woman who someone wrote her that worked at Plum Island allegedly, but I'm also going to read to you a few comments that I saw under the video.
They ran her DNA twice. Both times something came back that didn't match any known human sequences. A woman in Australia came forward claiming that she was a part of a program, not just abducted, but used to create a child that wasn't fully human. Her story wasn't based on dreams or sleep paralysis. She reported missing time, unexplained bruises, sensations of a procedure, awakened memories of being surrounded by beings that communicated telepathically. She remembered being on a table. She remembered them saying, "You'll see him again." When she started questioning her health, she submitted samples for testing. The results showed strange gene patterns, not regular mutations, but parts that didn't match anything in the database. Some said lab error. She said no, it happened twice, and she's not alone. Dozens of women across the globe have claimed something similar. But they were shown children with grayish skin, large black eyes, and an eerie emotional bond they couldn't explain. Children they were told were theirs. Allegedly, Dr. Lear believed that this was the real reason for abduction stories. He thought the strange, unexplained experiences like the implants or surgeries were just the surface. The main goal was something not fully human, and he wasn't the only one. Allegedly, former insiders have claimed there's a whole system in place to track people like this. Certain humans are chosen and watched. It raises questions that most people don't want to think about consent, about control, and where are these children now? So when she asked, if I was pregnant and didn't give birth here, where is the child now? Nobody had an answer, allegedly. It's this research facility that's been around since the 50s, studying animal diseases, mainly to protect livestock. But some think there's more to the story. The lore around Plum Island is absolutely fascinating, multiple rabbit holes, but the one I'm going to talk about today is Lyme disease. Lyme disease first showed up in the 1970s in Lyme, Connecticut. Let's talk Willy Bergdorfer, the scientist who discovered the bacteria that causes Lyme disease in the 80s. Willy didn't work at Plum Island, however, he was a part of the same scientific community that was exploring ways diseases could jump from animals to humans. Willy's research focused on ticks and biological warfare, experiments that some believe were designed to see just how easy diseases like Lyme disease could spread. Lyme disease is caused by a bacteria carried by ticks, and it wasn't long before people started noticing a pattern between the outbreak of Lyme disease and the research happening on Plum Island just across the water. Because ticks don't swim in a traditional sense, many believe that the ticks started off at Plum Island as an experiment that was deliberately placed on birds that would fly to Connecticut and purposely infect the population on the mainland. There's no solid evidence linking Lyme disease to Plum Island. However, the proximity and the fact that Plum Island was researching animal diseases has fueled some theories. Some argue that if such a thing like that was to happen, it was a complete mistake, while others argue it was purposely done and engineered that way. I have my thoughts, but I'm way more interested in what you have to say. If stories and discussions like this intrigue you, be sure to give me a follow because I enjoy having these discussions too. Not they removed your video about Plum Island, they did. They absolutely did. I am currently under the weather. I have a sore throat, runny nose, and both my ears are stopped up, so I'm not sure if I'm speaking too loud or too low. I can't gauge it right now. I did go ahead and private the other two, Fruit Island.
The volume with her video is just too long, but she says that they had removed her video about Plum Island, okay? But a lot of people saw it, okay? And a lot of people believe her that, they're studying and making ticks with all these diseases and animal hybrids and all types of stuff. Okay, the issue is that I think that there are parts of the government that wants to create something to possibly wipe out people. The problem is if you can't control it, people get on planes. If you put something in one area, but there are people who are not from there and they catch it and then they get on the plane, then they go to their home country, then that's how the disease spreads into your environment. It can't be quarantined all the time type of stuff. It doesn't work a lot.
Hey, I don't know how long this video is going to stay up. I might delete it later, but I used to work at Plum Island, Lab 257. Yep, that Lab 257. They told us it was animal research, just livestock stuff. Studying diseases to protect the food supply. That's how they always frame it, make it sound like we're doing something good. But the things I saw in that lab, the experiments, it wasn't about animals. It wasn't ever just about animals. First red flag, most of the people I work with either didn't ask questions or knew not to. Those who did ask too much, let's just say they didn't stay around for too long. Contracts pulled, cleared out like they never
existed. We get shipments in the middle of the night, no labels, no records. I'm talking live animals, sometimes already mutated. Sometimes they weren't even species that we have names for, and I know that sounds crazy, but I've seen things that look like they weren't even from this planet. Hybrid creatures like something out of a movie. We weren't just testing viruses, we were engineering them. Modifying bacteria, adding genetic sequences that shouldn't even be compatible with human DNA. At one point, I was assigned to a project that involved ticks. Yep, those ticks. We were told it was a controlled study to understand how disease spreads, but what we really were doing was testing how to make the virus spread easier, more contagious, more invisible. A few months later, the first Lyme disease cases popped up across the water in Connecticut just out of nowhere. Coincidence? Sure. Then there were the containment breaches. We weren't allowed to say the word leak. If something got out, we call it a displacement. You see a mutated deer foaming at the mouth on the shoreline, that's a displacement. You see some wild creature unalive looking like it got stitched together from 4 different animals, displacement. They always had an explanation, always just enough to keep you paranoid but not empowered. That's how they keep you quiet. I shouldn't be saying any of this. I've already seen 2 people disappear after talking too much. Plum Island wasn't just some animal lab, it was a test site, a lab rat farm. And the real test subject, they never stayed on that island, said an alleged whistleblower of Plum Island.
I believe her though, and from what she's saying is basically they're doing things somewhere else. It's not they're doing it somewhere else and then they're sending it to them to do further research on it. My thing is though, if you don't know what's going on, what do they want them to do? What's their job? I'm sure they're telling you, look, we have some sort of thing coming in. We need you to study the blood. We need you to look at the tissue. What do you see with this tissue? What are some what are some abnormal things that you're seeing? Or do you see something good? Do you see something bad? Do you see anything kind of similar to human tissue or blood or DNA? Like, you have to know something of what's being sent to you. You're a doctor. I don't know what exactly her job was. And again, she must not be afraid saying that people disappeared and she made these videos. She wanted to be a whistleblower and call it out. My thing is, what people look, it's not in one area. It's all over the place. Underground, in facilities that you don't know about, you will never get close to, most people. And what is the end goal? That's the real question. What exactly are they trying to do? Even if they were to successfully make a hybrid, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to release it in the wild to study how it acts around other animals? Are you going to send it to another country? Are you going to try to make food with it and not tell us that we're eating it? Like, what's going on here? It's more sinister than what you probably can imagine. You're never going to get the whole truth of what's going on. But I'm curious to know, well, what is the goal here with making these hybrids? Is it for medical research? Are you testing out medicines? Are you trying to replace human organs with animal organs because there's a shortage? Are you trying to replace the meat in the supermarkets because there's a food shortage? Or are you trying to make a human animal hybrid to put on another planet or in some isolated place? Like, what exactly? Or is this all just for fun, just to see what you can do, like that movie Resident Evil type of stuff? Like, what's going on for real? I definitely believe her. I think it's very possible. So let's look at this video clip real quick. When it comes to Lyme disease, they said it came from the ticks, and it says Dr. Marty Makary, a professor at Johns Hopkins University, and the current FDA commissioner. Okay, they're talking about this. Where did this come from? Where did this disease come from the ticks? Okay, Plum Island, is there a connection?
I don't know where HIV came from, but how many people have Lyme disease, including people we know? Mm-hmm. Where did Lyme disease come from? I can tell you with a high degree of probability, it came from Lab 257 on Plum Island, just outside of Connecticut, 25 miles from Lyme, Connecticut, where the first case was described. How do we know that? First of all, you can read the book Bitten, and it's a great book. When the war criminal doctors were executed in Nuremberg, at least one of them was spared and brought to the United States so that he could, his mind could be used by the U.S. military for so-called biodefense. And they put him on Plum Island, and he had said very openly that he believed an incredible form of biowarfare was infecting ticks. And that's what Lyme disease is. then it shows up 25 miles away. And by the way, that's not the only thing that showed up close by. They found half rat, half deer carcasses on what's it called in the Hamptons, the last town, Montauk. Yeah, it showed washed up in Montauk. This is like in the 90s. What the hell's going on there? Again, a bunch of mad scientists doing things, and all these people have Lyme disease. How many physicians know that it came from Lab 257? That Lyme disease came from approximately 1%, right? Because these are things we are never honest with ourselves. That just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it, and sometimes we can cause more harm than we can good.
And I agree with him. The thing is, though, is that a lot of doctors have no clue about this lab. A lot of doctors do not know. Some know, but it's always a select few. The government is not letting everybody in on everything. They have to know that you can keep your mouth shut. They have to see your character. Some of them might look and see if you're a dirty person, and they might let you know because they know that you won't say anything. Not everybody knows about it, okay? So they're saying that this Lyme disease that came from the ticks came from a bioengineered type of thing, experiment that they were doing, and that no one had ever seen it before, and that it wasn't too far away where the experiment happened. So I definitely can believe that. I can, and I think there are more things going on that we don't know about. And some cases, they might be trying to do good by finding cures with these experiments, but in some cases, it's for evil too. And like I said before, in all the movies, what happens? The project it gets out of control. They either come up with a disease that they weren't prepared for, and they don't have the cure for it. And then an outbreak happens, or it affects an animal. Remember that movie 28 Days Later? I love that movie so much. They were infected with rage, and next thing you know, it crossed over to the human population. And these are things that can happen when you mess with certain stuff and you don't understand all of what you're doing, and you mess with nature. You can mess things up, and we're human beings, okay? We're sensitive. We can't handle everything, and we can pass away from crossbreeding certain diseases from animals to humans, or just things that go wrong that's not properly done at all. I understand that, I'm happy to see medicines that's helping people, but what do we see happening so much more? We keep seeing medicines being recalled, or, we thought it was good. 4 or 5 years later, people are getting sick with cancers and tumors and passing out, and it's affecting the body very badly. For Ozempic a lot of people are suing because over 1,000 people have claimed that they have gone blind from using Ozempic, and stomach paralysis. Yeah, it seemed real good, but then not too long, the side effects came out, and they used to tell us to eat grapefruit. I remember a few years ago, they said grapefruit was causing cancer or breast cancer. I mean, it's always something. Always something. We see all these food recalls happening every single month like we have never seen in our life, with all types of stuff in it. It's getting out of control. So let me read to you some comments right now that I saw about Plum Island, what she said, that they're doing experiments and hybrids and animal hybrids, okay? It's not her story. She tells stories of urban legends. I know you people can read if you saw her page. Stop misleading people. They think she's full of crap. Interesting story, but where's the proof? No records, no credentials, no evidence, just a lot of dramatic claims. If this was real, it would have made headlines. No, it won't. Have you not seen the movies? The government knows how to cover up things. You're not going to hear a lot of stuff, or it would be leaked by documents. You're not. Since when are you going to get to see classified government documents? They won't even release the files about UFOs that people have seen. You think they're going to tell you that they're doing experiments on humans and animals and hybrids or clones? You're not going to hear about that. Sounds more like performance than truth. I definitely can believe her. Even if, let's say she did make it up, I still believe this exists, okay? No offense, but what I hear that you're saying is that you guys were test dummies. I'm just assuming, because if that place is armed, you guys were hired to work there at the lab, but still wearing protective gear. You were the only entry and exit that viruses, bacteria, and diseases can get out to the public. You still carry microorganisms microorganisms that did not pass off, that did not unalive. I can't say certain words, that remain attached to your skin, nails, lashes, and hair. When somebody on the outside got sick, that's how the lab can tell if it's the virus, disease, or if it's contagious or not. Okay, let's see. This is all true. Although this is from a whistleblower, please go look up Operation Mongoose and read the books Lab 257 and Bitten, as well as others about this. Also research Plum Island. This could be real because I know America has things we haven't seen. Creatures, aliens, Z-bodies. America has great things. Just some people, they're not writing well. Let's open our eyes. Even AI are being made. I know all about Plum Island and the weaponization of ticks, the Lyme disease, and other diseases, and sadly no doctors will acknowledge chronic Lyme disease or Morgellons, but they are very real. I probably said that wrong. And I'm sure that this just scrapes the surface of what came out about Plum Island. I believe what you're saying in this video. It's not her story. Okay, I read that already. They don't believe her. Some people don't believe her. The biology of Lyme disease wasn't created in a lab. It's an ancient forest bacteria that became a modern problem because humans changed the environment. That could be very true too. It wouldn't matter where it originated from if the gain of function research is involved. Why would the FDA director say this then? That it came from, being bioengineered. Lyme disease is an ancient infection with origins that predate human history. While it was first clinically identified in the 1970s, scientific research has traced its biological and geographic roots back millions of years ago. Some studies indicate that the specific bacteria causing this epidemic has European ancestry dating back before the Ice Age. Genetic analysis of the bacterium Borrelia burgdorferi or something suggests that this existed for at least 60,000 years, Lyme disease, in North America, long before humans arrived at the Bering Strait. I think that's what they were saying. So they're saying, no, Lyme disease is like 60,000 years old. It's not from an experiment that you think it is. I don't think we'll ever fully know the whole truth. Where did those pathogens go? What about the animals? Closed to the public, but they're still doing work there. Plum Island, this research facility, 257, the lab. My father always swore that Lyme disease was created. I always laughed at him. Now I'm beginning to think that he might have been on to something. I don't believe that this place is closed, Plum Island. There's still a strict gate of guards and road closures to that area. They closed in 2020. COVID started in 2020. Does closing this have something? Did they close it? Is it related? Do they have something to do with each other? COVID and Plum Island. So, now let me show you a video of a woman who received a letter from somebody who claims to be connected to this Plum Island or some sort of scientist or doctor.
I'm breaking my government NDA to tell you about Plum Island. I'm breaking every promise in my non-disclosure agreement with the U.S. government. It's actually called the 18 U.S.C. 1905, or the Disclosure of Confidentiality Information Generally form. And you can look it up to confirm the language in it. There were other forms signed and pledges made, but you get the idea. No one wants what I know out there in the world. I agreed to all these restrictions like everyone working on Plum Island in 2008. You might remember Plum Island from the movie Silence of the Lambs. It's the place Clarice promises Hannibal Lecter will be transferred to if he helps her find the serial killer. It's not a made-up Hollywood location, but a real island, as real as the horrific memories I have from working there. Located a mile off the tip of Long Island, it was originally where the government studied deadly agriculture diseases. Since it was isolated from the mainland, it was perfect to keep horrible viruses from escaping and reaching our unprotected shores. But soon other things were studied and created, some by design and sometimes by accident. The accidents, those were the things that made you realize why they wanted you to sign an NDA. Because if you already knew what I'm going to tell you, you'd be terrified. Why open myself up to jail, fines, and the government bringing down the full force of their ability to ob- obfus- obfuscate my story? I have cancer. I'm actually in the hospital right now, typing this from my bed with an intravenous in my arm. An IV, okay. I never knew the full word for that. And about 2 weeks to live. I've entered the who gives a shit moment of my life. I wanted to let the world know what I saw at Plum Island long ago before this moment, but I was afraid of what they might do to my son, the only real family I have left. Make no mistake, they'd be able to do whatever they wanted to him if I didn't keep my mouth shut. They could get him hooked on drugs, frame him for any crime you could imagine, or have him slip in the shower and snap his neck without the cops suspecting a thing. That's what they could do and did to others. Why now? Why so chatty today? My son Ned died yesterday morning in a car crash. You might ask, then why didn't they just kill you? There were 40 of us who worked there, and there are only 3 of us now. I checked with an actuary friend of mine who told me that statistically that was off the charts. There was no reason that over 3/4 of us should be dead. If you're counting at home, that's 37 men and women who worked with me at Plum Island under the age of 60 who've died in the last 15 years. That's either some monumentally bad luck or a real strange coincidence. The truth is they are killing us. Slowly but surely, they're wiping away any eyewitnesses to the horrors we created on Plum Island. I told my son before he died that I wanted to let the world know what I saw, but I was afraid for him, and he understood. My son, a code engineer, said they could put a virus on my computer that could follow every website I visited, read every email sent, and document created without even being connected to Wi-Fi. I believed him. Just before his car crash, he set me up with a laptop he'd said was clean and a special VPN that could connect me to the internet by using a burner phone to a burner account. If I followed his instructions, no one could hack into my computer and see what I was typing, because if they could see it, you wouldn't be reading this. I'm posting on this forum because there are 17 million readers here, and you're the ones with open minds to believe what I'm about to tell you. I'm a contractor for the U.S. Army, or was a contractor. I retired 2 years ago. My work was in mines, not gold mines or copper mines, but the kind that go boom. We were all part of a team that was working on mine detection. Upper management had run war game scenarios, and the strategists who are paid the big bucks came to a sobering conclusion: the United States' future aggressive engagements would be with countries that love deploying mines over long stretches of battlefields. And mines meant 2 things: troops get bogged down and troops lose limbs. The truth is, the powers that be didn't care about actual pain and suffering to the soldiers, but they did worry about the bad publicity when parents back home seeing their sons and daughters in wheelchairs and walking around with prosthetic limbs. The American people lose their taste for war when Jane and Johnny come marching home maimed. My group was tasked to find more effective ways to uncover mines. We first looked at the technical methods using ground LiDAR, low-flying magnet-detecting drones, sonic resonance, etc. But they all were too expensive. Remember, the big defense contracting machine wants money in their pocket and not invested in our actual defense or battles. That's when we looked into animal detection. It really was pretty goddamn cool. Bees were researched first. Yep, bees. They can detect the scent of explosives with their antennas. Hi, my name's Amber. If you like conspiracies like this and stories like this, please follow me for.
Okay, so what's interesting is that she brung up bees and how bees have disappeared. And scientists had said once the bees disappear that we're going to go into our next extinction because they pollinate everything. And if the bees aren't pollinating everything, then the oxygen is going to mess up, the food supply is going to mess up. And it's interesting how much lab grown meat they're trying to push on us. And there has been a disappearance of bees. I don't know all of what's going on, or if it's connected. I'm not sure. But she read that, and I can definitely believe it. What I'm trying to understand is, what are they doing so bad that they have to take the lives of 37 people? Like, what kind of experiment or hybrid or thing, what are you doing that's so bad that you don't want anybody to talk about it? What is the end goal? What are you trying to create or do or cause a problem? Is it warfare for other countries? Baby, it ain't gonna never work out. Anytime you try to put something somewhere, it spreads and it ends up crossing over to different countries. People get on planes and then they bring it. It just never works out like that. We've seen it in every single movie. It's always a disaster, or again, they don't know how to cure the disease that they've created, and it just goes all to hell. So I don't know. People are saying, don't take the vaccines, don't take shots, don't do this and that, because the government got stuff up in it. What do you think about that? I want to know, what do you think? Have you ever heard of Plum Island before? Have you ever heard of Plum Island before I made this video? I have to tell you, I had never heard of, let me put that up here. Plum Island. This is what it was called, the Matunic or something. Some sort of Matok or something, they said, is what this was called, this hybrid creature. Okay, and it washed up ashore. I believe it. I believe it. Now, some people think, oh, is this in the ocean? Are they putting things in the ocean? Are they putting it in the forest? Did it escape the lab? What's going on here? What do you think? Let me know what you think. Do you believe that the government is creating hybrid animals and hybrid human-animal hybrids for experiments to do God knows what, and they're sending it to Plum Island to do further research? Or if they are doing it, tell us why you think they're doing it. What do you think they're trying to create, and why are they trying to create it? And what do you think is going to happen from it? Tell us the good and the bad that you see from it. And what do you think is going on that's real sinister? I know that a lot of you are going to bring up religion and stuff. Give me some scientific stuff too, as to why you believe that they're doing this. Okay, I want to hear it all from you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell, click all notifications. I can't wait to hear this. I still have to say allegedly, because I don't know 100% if Plum Island laboratory type of stuff is real. I'm 50-50 on it. I'm 50-50 on it. Even if it's not Plum Island, I think this exists other places and stuff like that. So, but I don't think we'll ever have the full truth of what's going on. Okay. And look, you've heard the stories of what has happened to people who had been there allegedly. Okay. So like, share, and subscribe. If you click the bell, click all notifications so you know when I'm live and when I'm uploading. Have you ever heard of Plum Island before? You all take care. Bye, everybody.